Video we'll be doing the Easter eggs and predictions for Season 6, Episode 1 of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Beware spoilers, not caught up. So, this episode has two separate storylines going on right now, so I'll be separating them in different segments, and I'll be starting with the Space Arc, with Daisy, Simmons, Davis, and Piper. They're looking for fits and whatnot, and when we first meet Daisy, we see that she has a new look or whatever, and it has purple on her outfit and purple in her hair. And if you had no idea, it's actually inspired by the Marvel Rising Secret Warriors cartoon. So it's cool that they changed it to fit the more modern day look of Daisy, I guess. But yeah, and the producers have said that Quake will have an upgraded power set because of the centipede serum that she injected in herself in last season, and we see it kind of in a display here in a sense because she quakes these alien species named the Drillians guns, and we have seen her do this before, but with only one gun in the season. The last time we saw it was season 2, episode 21, but this time it was multiple guns. So I guess it's a kind of an upgraded power. I don't know what the extent of her powers are yet, but we'll see soon or later. And talking about the Drillians, I'm kind of surprised that a lot of the stuff that Simmons were mentioning and whatnot about different planets that they've visited were not actually comic book planets or whatever, considering the villain or antagonist, I guess, that's going to be going to be after this team, the Confederacy, that was from last season, when those aliens were actually, besides the Remoraths, they were actually comic book aliens. To see that they're not referencing any of those types of aliens, planets and aliens or whatnot, is kind of weird to me, but yeah. They mentioned that they were in Pyre, they were in Nero Atia, so it's kind of weird that like I said, it's kind of weird that they never actually mentioned anything that was comic book related in that sense. But before the Confederacy actually shows up, the team is actually getting in a fight because most of them want to just go home and refuel, restock, and then actually head over to see if Fitz is where Simmons is, or says he is. And Davis actually mentions that he hasn't seen his kid in months or whatever. And the last time we actually heard that Davis even has a kid was in the season 4 premiere, where at that point in time, Davis's wife was only pregnant. We don't know exactly how long or how far along she was, but at that point she was pregnant. So yeah, and we haven't heard anything from it since. So obviously, since it's been over 2 years now, she's obviously given birth and whatnot, and they have a kid now. But the Confederate shows up, they attack, and the only way to get away was that now that they are in space or whatnot, they actually figured out a way to connect the Confederacy teleporter that they gave to Hale. They somehow connected it to the Zephyr 1 so they could travel in space a lot faster. And all I really have to say about what Simmons' action is I hope she's right, because if she's not, the rest of the team is going to be very pissed off that you just wasted their time, risked their lives and whatnot, and fuel, that they could have just actually went back to Earth and then head right out again. But so if she's not right, a lot of those, that teammate those teammates are gonna be mad that she did that. So I hope she's right. So back on Earth, Mac, Yo-Yo, and May are trying to figure out how to rebuild S.H.I.E.L.D., but also deal with these new events happening around the world. One of them was a frozen ocean in a desert, and this new guy, I'm not really sure about the names because I didn't write them down, but he suggests maybe they should call them anomalies, and May, Yo-Yo, and Mac jokes around saying, we've used that up last year, and they were just describing the fear dimension that from exploding the monoliths from last season. So yeah. And we see that at some point Coulson left messages for the director to move forward in to rebuild Shield or whatever. I don't remember if Mac or if Coulson ever addresses Mac as Mac or whatever. So it's possible that these messages have been around since let's just say season 2 or whatever, and he just was being prepared for the next director. It would kind of make sense if it was in season 2, because he was he was going crazy and all that kind of stuff with the Kree blood, and he thought he might have to die, and maybe so he would want to just be prepared for the next director to come in. So it's possible that that's how long it's been in that box for, but we don't know. And Coulson actually uses this phrase from Fury being about a man can accomplish anything as long as they realize they're a part of something bigger or something like that. So it's nice that they have that little callback there. And Mac tasks May to recruit new people, and she's been recruiting mainly muscle people and not a lot of brains. So she's tracks down this guy named Dr. Benson, who apparently was working with and friends with Andrew Gardner, May's ex-wife, at Carver University, which is the same university that we see in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but also the same university that Hulk was fighting at in The Incredible Hulk. And the reason they wanted smart people, or May to find smart people, because Mac is thinking about rebuilding the S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy under Coulson's memory to honor Coulson's memory or whatever. So it's nice that they're starting back with the S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy and whatnot. And I don't think we're gonna see it until season 7. Like they said, he doesn't want it to be right away. Just take your time. So possibly if there's a time jump between season 6 to season 7, that would give him enough time to rebuild the S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy and whatnot. But this Dr. Benson says this line or whatever, and for some odd reason, I could be wrong or it'd be a stretch or whatever, which have known to do that before, but it felt like a reference to the Lethal Weapons, where he says he's too old, too fogged up for this, and that's a very similar line to what's been said in Lethal Weapon movies and whatnot. So yeah, and these anomalies or whatever, I don't know what to call them yet, so because they've never actually said it. This guy, or these two people, were coming through a wall, but one of them got stuck in the wall, so they decided to bring him back to the S.H.I.E.L.D. base to look over it and see what exactly is going on here. And he actually comes back to life somehow. I don't really know how, though, but he utters this phrase, Patatutik. I try to look it up, and I really have not found anything really. But yeah. And so they find this location that apparently these new group of people coming that came through the portals or whatever. We're not 100% sure where they're coming from. Most likely another multiverse universe or whatever. But they end up having to go to the Museum of Natural History. And so this is where I'm going to have predictions now, really. And if you've seen some of my other videos, I've had these stretch of very far-fetched theories. So this one's a very far-fetched theory. So we meet this new group, and it's run by Sarge, and they have 5 other people: Jacko, Snowflake, Pax, and Tinker. Tinker's the one that got stuck in the wall. And we see Jacko have this weird interaction, and for some odd reason, my first reaction to the scene where he warns this girl to go run away or whatever. for some odd reason, when I saw her holding a dinosaur balloon, I thought of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, which I don't read comics, so I could be very wrong about this. But when I was looking things up, there was this. Apparently, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur had this run-in with these people called Killer Folk from the dinosaur world. And I think that is. And they used this Omni-Wave projector to come from that world to our world. So it's a possible thing. It's a possibility that that little girl with the dinosaur balloon is just hinting at the fact that this group run by Sarge is a adaptation of the Killer Folk from the comics. Like I said, it's a very big stretch because I've always had stretched predictions before, so I could be very wrong. And before this season actually premiered, or this episode premiered, I had this theory going on, and I posted on Instagram and Twitter about Sarge, and it was based on what the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s Twitter and Instagram page were posting, which they were comic book tributes, and but all three comic book tributes were based on Nick Fury, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and so since I didn't know anything really about comic books, I actually searched some stuff up, and apparently those comic books were were surrounded around this character called Scorpion, and this one in particular was based and had two separate storylines where Nick Fury was trying to track down this guy named Scorpion, but having this other storyline going on with this guy trying to pay off this debt to a mob boss by gambling, or because he had a gambling debt or whatever. So I had this prediction that maybe they're doing an adaptation of that storyline where instead of Scorpion, it's actually they're replacing it with Sarge, and it's possible that this new version of Phil Coulson or whatever isn't actually Phil Coulson. It might be like, since his real Scorpion's name in the comics is Jack or Jake Fury, it could be just say it's Jake something instead of being Phil Coulson or whatever. So I could see that, but for the space team, I was thinking it's possibly that they would have to gamble at like a casino to save Fitz's life, which we don't know much about Fitz's storyline or whatever, because as far as we know, they've hid every single thing from his storyline, from all the promotional like trailers or whatever. Like, he's barely in any of them, so there must be a big deal going on with him that they're trying to hide. And that goes to my last theory, is he mentions this guy named the Controller, which is a character from the comics. He's not an alien, so they might be changing that for the show. But since he's the only new Marvel character that they're introducing, I think he might be the main villain instead of this whole distraction of Sarge and his team. So that's what I think that might be going on, where he might be the villain for the final episode of the season. So comment down below if I missed any Easter eggs or references, or if you have any predictions for the upcoming episode. See ya.